Super Hikiyami Moriko Turbo HD Remix.
Hello guys, Hikiyami Moriko this, and welcome to another indie game. This one's called A Prayer for the Winter Gears, and it's by one of my favorite developers, Kalechips. You may remember me playing other games by them, like Melting of the Winter Gears, that I think this game has to do with that game because, Winter Gears and stuff like that. And my personal favorite, Midnight on the Milky Way. That's my favorite game. I have like about 4 videos of that game. One of the demo version, well, like 3 videos of the demo version and like one of the full game. If you want to watch that video, it will be great because that game is amazing. If you want to play Kalechips games, you can find the link to the itch.io page on the description of this video. So let's just play the game, right? Let's start praying for some Winter Gears. This demo contains the first 4 days of the story. Oh, it's a demo version. Okay, yeah, it says really clearly there on the window. The rest will be added shortly with all of its endings and extras in tow. Okay, so I get to play this game twice. Amazing. I love it. This is a story about yet another doll and yet another troubled young man. It was snowing then too, and the town of course was forgotten by time. You can see a little gear here moving really nicely. But unlike the town surrounding it, once barren and crumbling and riddled with fresh wounds, this town was beating alive with likewise forgotten people, who lived comfortably in the overstuffed streets of patchwork cobblestone. There were no painful memories, nobody spoke of their past here. In the denser areas you could melt away, it was often lightless and the alleys would fill with miasma, so that the shadows of people would become muffled by the air. The colors of eyes and lips and coats and grimaces would mix with the candles and windows and the glints of knives so that the world twisted into a brilliant peaceful smudge. Words here were softer, they were closer. They spoke of things you wanted in the denser parts. You could pay for what you wanted. Wait. You could. Okay, yeah, it's the same. Standing beside the butchery that wasn't really a butchery. Just outside an alley no one ever entered was a doll, hoisting a sign over her delicate shoulders. Service held all day. Forgiveness, confession, redemption, free. The doll stopped proudly with her sign, porcelain face shining with goodwill and honesty. She called out to the wafting smoke people. Julieta. Service is being held today. Service all day, every day. Not a single cent owed. Forgiveness, confession, and redemption awaits. Her killer voice danced. I'm sorry, I don't have really a cute voice to make that, but you can use your imagination. Her clear voice danced over the crowd and nodded, and absolutely no one. The people understood what kind of service this was, and they weren't interested. Still, she called out day after day. Still, nobody answered. Didn't she know? In a town without a past, what's the use of forgiveness, confessions, and redemptions? Well, yeah, that makes sense. What's the use of goodwill and honesty? And here is Cooper. Or Copper? Copper? I think it's Copper, right? Cooper will be like double O. You gonna give up anytime soon? A blue jay appeared beside her, quiet as always. He wore an official-looking coat which held a number of unofficial things within. Wow, Cooper, how ever did you get so sneaky? You nearly put my cogs in a bundle. I'm not sneaky, I'm just good at my job. Your job being sneakiness? My job being none of your business. And with that, the fearsome beard reached over and bumped Julieta on the head. Ow, 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 my precious porcelain. No more of that, you're fine. Oh dear, goodness gracious. Hey, what's the matter? What you got that face for? It seems that my sins have parted most tragically. Oh dear, I feel something. A crack perhaps? Julieta? I'm sorry, let me see. Yeah. Happily, there were no cracks at the top of the little doll's head. Everything was as it was before. The beard once again gave her noggin a good smack. Wah! Don't go tricking people, especially not me. Oh, but you're so fun to play with. You get so fussy all the time. Look, your feathers are not even now. You're asking for another boppin. You wouldn't. Still, she covered the top of her head with her small hands. She beamed up at him, and he quickly turned away. The mornings always went by in such a manner. It was a precious routine and they both played their part dutifully. But the games and teasing always dissolved into a different matter, one that Copper always dreaded. So, Copper, tell me, have I got anything delivered yet? The response was already prepared. Nope. I'm just gonna lower the volume of the game a little bit because I'm not sure if it's too loud. I see, how positively dreary. Yes, perplexing dreary. And just as the bird's response was rehearsed, so was her merry reaction. I know it's got to be tomorrow. And what if it's not here tomorrow? Then it's got to be the day after that. And then? Then it's after that. It can be the days before, it can be the day off, so it's gotta be the day after. It's logical deduction, you know, a particular science. What is it? I was thinking. At this point, it just makes me sad. Well, whatever you're fussing about, you can tell me. Confessions are free, you know. Don't get ahead of yourself. I got business to take care of. Copper. Again, business. Your sneaking business? This has nothing to do with you, business. The beard scoffed and turned on his heel. He always made a point of visiting before his morning work, but he never stuck around long enough to make use of the doll's services. She could hardly talk at his slips before he melted back into the crowd. Perplexing. Why ever does he speak as such when he has no interest in my offers? There was no use thinking of it. The only thing she could do was hoist her sign a little higher and call out a little louder. One day, it was bound to work. Well, I guess if you try hard enough. It's gotta work, right? I've been trying hard and it's not working, but I'm doing it. I'm gonna be too a little harder. The lights of the windows seemed to shine brighter when the darkness set in, but still, the golden glow often did not reach the alley. The doll stood, her face illuminated by reflections and waiting street lamps. She looked as she had always been there. The side of the buildings across the way was one she knew down to each brick and rusty nail. The gait of each person that walked past was engraved into her ceramic skull. Once again, none of them had asked her for anything. Just a reminder, there's lore in this game that has to do, I guess, with the other game, like the dolls and how they came to be. So if you're not getting this game, you gotta play the other game before, right? The melting of the Winter Gears. So you can pause this video and go play that game if you want to get the full picture, right? Once again, she was abandoned at the mouth of the alley. There was a patch of sky far off that always caught her interest. It was now an empty, light-colored smog, but there was a time when something beautiful was there, the silhouette of a steeple, where many good memories lay. For her, for him, for the future. As she closed her eyes, she could see it once again. The lines of his face, his crackling voice, and the sweet smell of his cigarettes. The way he flipped through the pages of the scripture and cures under his breath were folded a page too fiercely. There was the way his voice got much softer when he spoke to her too. That was her favorite part. The dull dream at the side of the street at the time flew by. The din of the people who had no one care for her was drowned by her own precious memory. Just then, she caught a sight of a still face in the shifting river of people. In the darkness, the colors and figures were modeled and further erased by their movement, but within the amalgamation was a pair of dark, glinting eyes. They were staring past the doll and deep into the alley behind her. A round face, an expression of intense focus, and dark, flickering lashes vested by heavy tears. The doll had no heart, no blood, no bones, but all the same felt a rise within her and learned into the street to call out. I hold my service every day, every single day. Those words seemed to strike the face like an arrow, and expression quickly changed, shifted, exploded. The lines of their face began to shake and shiver, their mouths falling slightly open. Something was about to spill from their lips. Say yes. Please say you'll visit. I'm waiting for you, always. A man in a large coat pushed on through the crowd, and as he passed by, the shivering face disappeared. There was no sound. The streets once again vanished into motion. The hairless, bloodless, boneless doll returned to her place in the alley. The sun rose in the roosters crowd and Julietta's voice rang out once again. Service is being held today, service all day, every day, not a single cent out. Forgiveness, confession, and redemption awaits. And once again, nobody listened. She continued on as always. Anything that ails your heart, I'll be sure to soothe it. Anything that weighs heavy on your soul, I'll take it into my own. Not a single note. But no matter how dramatic an offer she made, the people sailed on by. She couldn't help but stamp her feet in protest before quickly correcting herself. Unladylike behavior was the last thing to bring in believers. Oh dear, nothing is going my way, is it? I can relate to this game. Shaky guy. Right? Why don't you look at the little songbird? In front of the doll appeared a disheveled man with a sleepy grin. He was so tall that his little son managed to creep through the roof that was blocked by his shaky head. Don't mind me, songbird. Go on chirping now. I'm no songbird, sir. I'm a practitioner of the faith. Oh, I see it now. From across the way you were such a teeny thing, I thought you were a little songbird. Now up close I can see your rivets. Why don't you look at that? The carefree man laughed brightly while Ace bringing it down. It was true. The joints of her hands and legs, the unnatural sheen of her skin, they were all clear indicators that she wasn't really a human. Even in her voice there was the slightest metallic ring. So, what is it not songbird you sing? You dance? No, sir. I told you, I'm a practitioner of the faith. I tend to the church here, healing all the lost souls who come by confession, forgiveness, and redemption, you know? Oh, you'll come by, won't you? I wonder if this is the same church that the other game. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Well, it says it was a different town, right? So maybe not. Confession, forgiveness, all that stuff, huh? Gosh, Dolly, that sounds like quite the deal. In that case, you wouldn't mind me asking something, would you? I wouldn't mind in the slightest. Then, Dolly, tell me this. Who is that gets to confess, and who is that gets to forgive? Julieta blinked. The man was smiling more than ever. He was closer now. The sun created an overwhelming halo around his head. Anyone and everyone, sir. that's a good answer to like evade the actual answer, right? Anybody? Anybody at all? Yes, sir. Well, ain't that just something? Anybody and everyone, you say? That gets me thinking, Dolly. If everybody can confess, then anyone can learn the truth. And if anyone can forgive, then everybody can be forgiven. Of course, isn't that wonderful? Oh yeah, it totally is, but it doesn't work like that. The man glanced down at Julieta's delicate ball-joined hands gripping her slightly passionate. He looked at her over to a minute and burst into a ferocious laugh. Yeah, sister, it must be. Golly. I'm just so blessed to have found a thing like you to clear things up for me. I really ought to thank you. No thanks needed, sir, but you can come in for sir. Now wait a minute, Dolly. I never called your name. You mechanical ones have names, don't they? The man leaning close again before Julieta could get a sentence out. His voice boomed sharply. Oh, it's Julieta, sir. Julieta, oh yes, sir. There's a fine name. Your mama has a good taste. Well, I suppose your metal types don't go mamas or anything of the sort. What do you say dropping the sir for a good Hugo, huh? Let's be on friendly terms, sir. It's not good for that. He grinned widely and seized Julieta's hand. He's giving a good shake. I don't like people that are too touchy, but the power in his grip was overwhelming. There was an audible shriek as the ceramic joints struggled to stay in their sockets. Don't be a stranger. Bye-bye. He gave one last jolly grin and left waving as he went. The doll waved weakly after him. He was certainly friendly, but the power in his grip had thrown her for a loop. What a peculiar man. Oh, but he didn't ask me for advice, didn't he? Julieta! Ah! The bear arrived out of breath and sputtering. He went over and inhaled sharply. Copper, that wasn't very sneaky of you. Doesn't it reflect badly on your job performance? Quiet. Bunk. Ah, my porcelain. Quit worrying about your porcelain. You shouldn't be worrying about all the weirdos you're talking to. Weirdos like you? No, I mean like the mobhead from a second ago. Who was he? What's he want from you? Oh, Copper, slow down. He wasn't anyone bad. He's Hugo. Hugo? Oh yes, he's a friendly person. He was asking me about forgiveness and such. Isn't that just wonderful? Little doll. The bird's feathers, which were ruffled from the adrenaline, slowly deflated as he calmed down. Still, his eyes were darting to and fro. Look, you should just be careful who you associate with, alright? This place, it's got an underbelly. I think after all these years you know that. You're worrying about me a lot for someone so keen on impromptu violence. Some police has been crawling around lately. I heard it's because there has been murder in the next town over. It makes business a lot harder, but even worse than killers still on the loose. I think he's hiding out here. It's that Hugo? It's probably Hugo, right? He looks like he will kill someone. So that's why I'm worried, okay? Just watch yourself. I need to watch myself if you're already watching me so much. Yeah. Ah, but Copper, before I forget, the doll go up on her tippy toes and despite everything she smiled. She had one thing on her mind. Didn't I receive any packages? Is it really that important to you? More than anything. Well, there's nothing for you. Nothing with your name or address. Nobody's sending you anything right now. I see. That's too bad. Then I'll just have to see tomorrow. He looked at her with a mix of pity, disgust, and admiration. It was too much to take in. She was always there, waiting, and her spirit never once faltered. The bird felt a sickness down to his very bones. He couldn't tell if that ear was incredibly strong or pitifully weak. He didn't understand what he should be feeling. But he knew more than anyone that he didn't deserve to have any feelings on the matter. He was the weak one after all. I have to say, usually those two kind of people are the same people, right? You can be pitiful and strong at the same time. It's like two sides of the same coin, I guess. Nighttime was something of a blessing for the town, as you could see so much less of it. Less of the disinterested faces, less of the years-old scars, less of the unkempt buildings. Even the shouting and usual riff-raff seemed to be dampened by the blanket of darkness. For many it was so much better not to see, but for Julieta, it was a miserable event. When light was sucked out from all the air, it made the whole world feel much more emptier. Everything echoed more than the space with his voice should be taken up with darkness. Jax, I'm doing a good job, aren't I? Sitting on the roof beside the doll was a finicky pigeon, preening their wings. They responded with a perfectly pigeon-like purr. I know, of course, but perhaps my diction isn't satisfactory. Things get muddled depending on the acoustics. How does that sound? The pigeon responded once in a particular pigeon-like manner, with blank, shifty eyes that held no understanding. Brilliant! I'll try that next time. If he was here, he will know what to say. There was no use thinking like that. The image of those pleading eyes in the crowd popped into her head and she felt like a rise within her. She hadn't seen anybody like that before. And in this part of town? Jax, it looked like he was begging for help. It wasn't yesterday, so it has to be the day after. It wasn't the day after, so it had to be tomorrow. And if it wasn't tomorrow, then it will be inevitably by the day succeeding. The doll knew absolutely that the lost, trembling child will appear before her and that he could bestow upon them words of praise and infinite kindness in exchange for their worries. Finally, she could turn the pages of her scripture with purpose. Finally, her voice will be echoed a little less in the chapel she had maintained so lovingly. Below there was a crashing noise followed by a few panicked stumbles. The doll froze, and then crawled carefully to the edge of the roof. Those are some shiny eyes. At the mouth of the alley, a figure stood with dark, glinting eyes. The bright light of the street outside lighted them with a weak glow. They looked like a patch of dark cut out from the rest of the world. They were shivering. Excitement took control of her and leaning down, she called with her whole chest. You're here again. You come for a confession, haven't you? Please, come in. It won't cost you anything. The patch showed a look of the entire body shivering furiously. They locked eyes with Julieta and did not move. Come now, it is so burdensome for you. Here, I'll set your wounds. It's alright now. With the light around them, they looked like an inverse flame flickering ready to go out. The doll made a movement and the flame froze. You can tell me, here, right now. You don't have to come in. What is it that you wish to say? A deafening soft noise rang across the dirted bricks walls and died out with a puff of hair. The doll pushed herself off. The flame took a step back, the quivering eyes flashed and then disappeared within a sound. The doll jumped up from her position and dashed to the other edge of the roof in hopes of catching a glimpse. Nothing. Not even the puddles held ripples. That frail sound of a coin in her head was the only thing that they left behind. She felt a rise within her. The voice, to her, was like a promise, no different than an engagement ring. She knew it for sure, absolutely. They will appear again, to hear her loving words. The waiting will finally be over. The doll clasped her hands together. She felt like she'd been sleeping for a long time, and that she was about to wake up. The night was dark, but it made her think all more of those poor bleeding eyes. Everything felt a little less lonesome after that. Let your heart be forgiving so that the kindness of the world might touch you. Let your confession be free like rivers and your prayers overflowing with goodwill. Submit yourself to my hand, just as I submit myself to yours. Together we will take our daily bread and never go hungry. She stretched her arms outwards with a small click in her joints. Her voice was clear and strong, and it bounced around the room in all directions. Truly, her words was one with the very air. Every syllable was well rehearsed and polished. The impeccable diction, the feathered churchgoers flapped with their wings in applause. And there was a pair of hands too, folded and wet with salty tears. Shadow Boy. Oh. Yeah, that's the boy. That high-pitched exclamation pulled the stranger from their prayers. At last, set of a dark glinting eyes, they were here. I was waiting for you so long, but you finally arrived. It was fate. Oh, surely it was fated. Don't you think so? The doll twirled with excitement. Her skirts flew about her and her metal adornments clinked together. The birds heard the sound and took flight. Ah. The young visitor, whose quivering lips were struggling to speak, let out a sharp yelp through the hail of the feathers before collapsing off the seat. Oh. Positively disastrous. Wait right there. You're not hurt, are you? Thank goodness, this is a place of healing, but of the spiritual kind, you see. We're nothing for broken bones and such. But you are here, perhaps you are in the need of spiritual healing. That's right, isn't it? You got something to confess. Oh, he's the murderer? Like maybe he's trying to confess that? I was the small frail noise once again. The doll watched their face eagerly as they searched for the words, but all that came out was a weak puff of air. Oh, I see. I've gotten ahead of myself. I've always been told that you know how to start. I know. She extended her hand and offered a dazzling smile. I'm Julieta. What's your name? He looked at Julieta's hand and it was a completely unrecognizable object, but looking closer he could see the ball joints where her fingers connected and the light scratched up on its surface. It really wasn't human. Something flickered behind his eyes. Shakily, he reached out and placed his palm in hers. Ellie, my name is Ellie. His voice was soft as it came out and trailed off the hairless sounds, but the doll was completely animal. Ellie, oh, that's a darling name. Ellie. It really does suit you. Oh, Ellie, he's at my church. Ellie is listening to my words. Does that sound just perfect? You don't have to say it so much. Ellie. Surprising, he hands shot forward and clapped over the doll's lips. That's enough. You don't get to say it anymore. No more Ellie. I'm sorry, that was improper. The boy realized himself and pulled his quivering hands back, turning bed red in the process. Oh, you're a pure-hearted boy, aren't ya? Chin up. Yeah, now I'm thinking that Hugo is like undercover police, maybe searching for this boy. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sorry, it's not a problem at all. No need to look so triggered, right? See, I might have my cracks, but nothing gets me down. This doll, she was beaming brightly. The church itself was dark, but small strands of light coming down caught in her hair in an almost magical manner. Her voice was much sweeter than anything he had heard before. The tiredness around his eyes faded away. It was something had finally hit him, and it was sinking in after a long time. He looked up into Julieta's vibrant smile, and despite everything, found himself returning it. If it's no problem... I see, Miss Julieta, you're a nice person. A pure-hearted boy who compliments me in my church? However did I get so lucky? How glorious day. A pure boy complimenting me in my church is more possible than you think. I was curious about this place before, but I couldn't push through until just now. And why is that? It smelled a lot like meat. Meat? I kept looking at the alley and it felt like everything was full of meat. Its sharp smell, I can't stand it. But I'm happy that it doesn't smell like that here. It's much better. Then what does it smell like? Dust. It's like that smell a lot. You smell like dust too. A compliment. That's definitely indisputably a compliment. I'll accept it. But that means I got to clean the church a little better, doesn't it? I think it's nice as it is. Oh, but don't you think it will be better if I repair some of the holes over there at least? It gets a bit drafty sometimes. I sort of like them. What about them all up in the corners? Shall I take care of that? It's not so bad. I think it's kind of cute, really. Cute? How so? I can't explain it, but the color is always nice looking. The different shapes are interesting to watch. Now you have to clean the mold. Have you ever seen a piece of bread like that? It gets fuzzy, it's cute. That's disgusting, but I guess some people can find it cute. Oh yes, I see. Similar to a rabbit, I would say. No, rabbits aren't cute. Yeah, this kid is definitely a killer. Then what is cute to you? You, Miss Julieta. Oh, I'm the luckiest in the whole world right now. Oh, glorious, glorious day. The timidity from before had completely melted away. What was left was a pleasant young boy with an eagerness behind the eyes. This was it. She'd been waiting for so long, and there was somebody here finally willing to listen. The dolly, not only makeshift church, couldn't stop smiling at the battered boy. She thought to herself, I'll save him no matter what. Even if it shatters me. It's always like that, right? Saving someone always breaks a part of you, but I guess that's how it works. 1 hour became 2, and 2 became 4. The entire day was taken up with hungry conversation. Yolita's hands moved to and fro, her graceful motion painting the air as she recited passages from heart. All the while glittering eyes were set on her. They ate up every moment. The walls around them were warped and patched over clumsily edged old dust, trapped in every group. The pieces struggled to stand on their own, even the doll wrapped in fraying fabrics and cracked pearls looked a bit forgotten, like a puppet left on the roadside. The years of loneliness wrapped around her. Still she shined. A doll on a music box turning around and around singing the same tune as she always has. Her earnest words flew out just as passionately as they had the first time she learned them. She had polished those words to perfection. I think that's a reference to the second. I guess it's the first game in this series. I don't know. Sure, they were a gift from somebody, a gift to somebody, but who? Ellie watched intensely. His chest was tight. He sat and still as a statue, the birds gathering around him as he focused. She never asked where he came from. She never poked fun at the way he spoke. Everything about her was gentle, gentle in an unbearable, wonderful way. If only he had met her earlier, but it was too late for thinking like that. I'm pretty sure he's the murderer, right? I'm sure of it. He said that he was writing a death sentence as she spread her arms and spoke of forgiveness. She went on tirelessly until there were no words left. His time was up. And that concludes today's service. Indeed, the sun outside had already set, but a fierce anxiety seized Ellie in his seat, and he struggled to stand. Here it was so much warmer, so much kinder. A few simple words flared back to him, and he remembered what he had to do. He reluctantly stood. Instead of leaving, the boy stood in the doorway, a shadow cast over his face, while the only glittering of his eyes shone through. The snow outside came down gently and melted into the puddles of the gutters. The room at once became very, very cold. Is there something the matter, Ellie? The glinting in the dark wavered ever so slightly. Before you talk a lot about forgiveness, it sounded really nice, but Miss Julieta, what does it mean? What's the use? Click, click, click. The doll's cocks began working as she digested his words. Somehow, she'd never been asked that before. What was it the boy wanted to hear? Oh, I get to make a choice. Can I save the game? Yeah, I can save the game. I'm not gonna replay it because that's a reason for you guys to go and play this. What's the use for forgiveness? This is an important question, right? Forgiveness is ultimately for yourself. Forgiveness is a kindness bestowed upon others. Okay. I like this question. This is a good question. This makes you really think, right? I think both are valid options, right? Because forgiveness is ultimately for yourself, because if you're asking for forgiveness, you know you did something bad, right? And you feel bad because if you do something bad and you don't regret it, you don't need forgiveness, right? But if you are already regretting it and asking for forgiveness, it means you feel bad about what you did. And like, even if someone else forgives you, like, you have to forgive yourself for it. It's not gonna work, right? So forgiveness is ultimately for yourself. That's true. But I also think that forgiveness is kindness bestowed upon others. That's also true. It's something really important, right? Like I'm not good at forgiving. I have to be honest. I'm a terrible at forgiving. I have a hard time forgiving because like I never forget and I usually don't forgive. I'm that kind of person. I don't like being that kind of person, but that's who I am. But I think like when I do forgive someone, it's a kindness that I wish to bestow upon them, like so they don't have to carry the burden of like that problem they have with me, right, or with someone else, right? So I do like both questions, but like giving that I think the kid is the murderer, right? I don't think he can forgive himself. Like obviously he looks like he feels bad, but I'm not kind of sure. He might be like a sociopath or something, right? But I'm gonna say forgiveness is a kindness bestowed upon others because that's what resonates most with me. The doll clasped her hands together and nodded sagely. Forgiveness is a benevolent service unto others. Human hearts are fragile and so conflict is sure to arise. Forgiveness is a wonderful magic spell you can use to alleviate the pain of those around you. It resolves the frustration in one's heart. Yeah, that's some really beautiful words. The frustrations? Yes, because when you come into conflict with those around you, they'll be sad, won't they? They'll surely wish for a resolution. In a way, that frustration is evidence of the depths of one's heart. She spread her arms out wide. Yes, she'd done a good job after all. Those were surely the words that would satisfy his hungry heart. But somehow the boy was still standing there as still as he was before. Snow pelting down into the gutter, his expression was obscured by the lack of light. A patch of dark looking back. I see. So that's what it means. His voice came out gentle. He turned before Julieta could say another word. There was hardly a sound as he shot down the street and disappeared. Of course, not every day was spent at the alleyway. On the occasion, Cooper would recruit a certain companion to make some rounds with him, delivering packages of a more domestic nature. Julieta always gave the recipients a dazzling smile. Cooper just carried on as usual. Say, Copper, I'm sorry, what's it that you deliver? The bird always scoffed at such questions he never answered and she never stopped asking. Why don't you take a wild guess? Flower baskets? Too freely. Toys for sick children? Too sappy. Dirty magazines? Hey, wait a minute. How do you know about those kind of things? I've seen them before, plenty of dirty books and such. Juliet, I never thought you were the kind of woman to... All sorts of folks leave their belongings on the front of my church, and it wasn't of getting so filthy. I expected as much. The book magazines would have the random stamp, and it's just enough to make you cry. So, you're telling me that these dirty books you've been reading are actually just books covered in mud or whatever? What else? Oh, but you can hardly read them because of the awful wear and tear. The paper just melts away. Just like the Winter Gears. Copper placed his hands over his heart and heaved a sigh of relief. Al was right in the world once more. Thank God, for a second you really had me. Oh, Copper, before I forget. What's it? Do you deliver naughty food? What? What? The antics were cut short by a buzzing the two-stop and saw that a crowd was gathering in the street, pushing and pulling against each other with a series of hushed tones. A few serious-looking men were standing at attention. Cooper took a step back. Official types. Out of the hustle and bustle came one very unofficial, very much not at attention fellow with a large sleepy grin. He waved Bradley and jogged over. Hugo! Little Miss Dolly. Yeah, he looks like a detective kinda, right? Little Miss Dolly. Wait, you guys know each other? We sure do, acquaintances about now. What a dolly like you and a stiff neck like this doing around here? Oh, we're just talking about Copper's dirty pictures. Not bad at all. Now tell me, Cooper, sounds like a redhead, am I right? Eureka merely shook her head and pointed to her partner, who had his hands clasped over his Bradley's scarlet face. Stiff neck? I'm sorry, that's not exactly my thing if you get me. I really got there. I prefer my lace with a bit more volume in certain regions if you catch my drift. They are my pictures. I'm not delivering any pictures. Please stop talking about this. Please. Oh, Hugo, what are you doing around here today? Oh, that's a doll. The shaggy man cocked his head to the side and jerked his thumb to the crowd, who were now being pushed away by the officials. An arm became visible. It was lying in the snow, pale and unmoving. Corpse business mostly. The giddiness from before completely died as soon as the doll saw the body. The sheen of the skin, the loose way the fingers hung from the palm, and most of the ball joints. It wasn't a body of flesh and blood, it was someone like her. Shards of ceramic dusted to the ground, the limbs were twisted at odd angles, and the face should be replaced with jagged hollow void. No eyes to look back to, just nothing. Hugo's loud voice boomed through the void. We have fusion over it all morning, but it's probably clear what happened. Things went how high as it could go, and phew, down it went, a kiss to the ground. And the man produced a lightly heard whistle and sighed. These kind of cases are rough to keep up with. Gotta write a report and all that, but there's not much point in investigation. Stuff like this just happens. Oh, Dolly, it's like any old tool, a bicycle in the Ryan rust, don't they? Done it? Julieta's eyes waved fixed on the corpse. She didn't ask any more questions. She didn't have anything to say. It was simply that the scene in front of her, its strange finality, was incompatible with something. Staring at a faceless somebody that looked like her, what was she supposed to feel? Click, click, click. Julieta, are you alright? Cooper laid a hand on her shoulder and found that she went loose and it touched like a ragdoll. Julieta, let's get her off here. We've got more to deliver. What, not gonna keep me company while I pick up the pieces? Cooper glowered at the man before taking Julieta by shoulders and guiding her off the crowd. She allowed herself to be shepherded away. They left the scene behind, but the image played over and over in her head. That and some words from long ago. She closed her eyes and chased them before they disappeared. He said he will return, as long as she behaved. His body was warm as always. It was always warm, just for her. But here, in the place with glass buried deep in the snow, that wonderful voice was nowhere to be heard. Oh, that's it. Okay. It was like what, half an hour? Okay, I guess I can see the collections yet. Oh, I can. It's just music. Wait. Music. Bios. Story. Okay, we have something to. Maybe we can check the biography. Unlock after completing the true ending. Wait. Silverbird on the horizon. This is another character. Oh, wait. Okay, no, it's okay, yeah. How do I go back? Return, okay. And I guess story. There's nothing in here. Remember, this is just a demo version, right? So it makes sense there's nothing in here. Okay, so that was the demo version of A Prayer for the Winter Gears, right? Before I say anything, if you want to play this game and take the other option I didn't take, just the link will be down in the description as always. Like, obviously, I can give my full impressions of this game because it's just a demo, right? I have to say, as always, I enjoy how Kalechips write the games. It has some lovely words in it, right? And it really makes you think about stuff. I know that's something really general to say, but like, in this case, it's a prayer for the Winter Gears, right? So it looks like it has to do with faith, right? And what is faith? What is believing? What is forgiveness, right? And I'm beginning to think that, do people like deserve forgiveness? That might be a central theme of the full game, right? Maybe, because I'm really sure that the kid is the killer, right? So I don't think the bird is the killer, and Hugo it's obviously not the killer because he's well, maybe he's like a policeman that's also the killer, right? That happens previously, but I don't think he is the killer. And they mentioned there was a murder in the next town, right? But they didn't say if it was like a human or a doll, right? So I'm guessing this kid kills dolls because he can't stand the smell of meat, right? So it wouldn't make sense for him to be killing people smelling blood and such, right? I guess that makes sense. Um, I personally like, just from what I'm seeing from this game, I don't think the kid deserves forgiveness, right? Um, I personally think that if I know they're adults, right, but they're living beings. I don't think like someone that deliberately kills like a living being, right? Not just humans. Like if you on purpose like a dog or something, right? I personally can't forgive people for doing that kind of thing. It's horrible to do, right? So yeah, but I think it's gonna go much more deep than that, right? It's forgiveness is not just like something black and white, right? At least for me, it's not. It's something very complex that you have to like think through, right? And I think for the doll, it's gonna come down to she's like quote unquote programmed to forgive, right? It's what she's supposed to do at the church, right? Listen to people and offer forgiveness because everyone can forgive and everyone can be forgiven, right? That's what she was telling Hugo. Um, but I think she's gonna come into conflict when she learns that the kid is the killer, right? She's gonna be like, oh, I have to. This is what I've been preaching. I have to forgive him, but can you really forgive someone that kills your kind, right? Um, I don't think you can. And that's obviously a big conflict. So far, really interesting game. I can't wait to play the full version. Once again, if you want to play any of the Kale Chip games or watch my videos, I'm gonna leave links down in the description of this one. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you, Kale Chips, for making this game lovely as always. And I will see you guys in the next indie game or stream. Good